Hey, welcome everybody to Rejected Pilots, the show where we have an hour to get some pilots rejected. So, I am your host, Chad, and joining me is my co-host, Josh Lindquist.
Hello.
And today, the topic we're going to be doing is Men in Black, the show.
Because why not?
So, want to take a departure from specifically the Men in Black that we all grew up and know and love, and kind of go like first principles with it and think about it from the ground up. So I think we should establish kind of what the universe even is in the first place.
Definitely.
So, POV, are you down with like you just want to stick with kind of the general, we're watching from the point of view of the Men in Black?
Yeah, I like that for sure.
It's a
It keeps it simple.
Yeah, what's hard is like if we tried to do something where the Men in Black were a separate entity, then you'd also have to have whatever, and like, because they're hunters ultimately, right? So you'd have to be establishing like your hero, then establish who the villain alien is, and then have to establish the Men in Black, which would be like some kind of weird secondary thing. There wouldn't be a lot unless you went with like alien POV and then being hunted by the Men in Black kind of thing.
Interesting.
I think that can make a cool movie, but I'd have a hard time with that as a show,
Yeah, you'd have to make the audience relate to the alien, and that'd be hard.
Well, and also like having The Fugitive for 4 seasons, 5 seasons, like that's the thing. Is like in a movie that can work, and it kind of is like you're hanging out with Harrison Ford, but then like that I can imagine that getting old after like, okay, it's been 3 seasons, we're still on the run, we haven't gotten caught. You end up with like issues that Prison Break had once they already broke out of the prison.
The first 2 seasons were magnificent,
And then they just keep going.
Yeah.
Like the show's called Prison Break. They're like, I figured it out. We have to break back into the prison. And then Lost did the same thing. They're like, we have to get off the island. And then they get off the island. And they're like, we have to go back. It's just like those writing holes you can trap yourself in. So to avoid ending up like Lost, let's start with the Men in Black. So I mean, it's kind of funny because now that I'm thinking about it and trying to think of new angles, the movies really did kind of perfectly nail it, because it's like, well, what do you do then? You want to have a point of view character who is the fish out of water so that you can learn everything with him. And then who's he pair with? Well, he pairs with the old guy who knows what he's doing. Like this, it's all already kind of perfectly
the
built
jaded
in.
old character who's just perfect. Yeah.
But we don't have to go that way, though. We can go where they're established already, and then you just kind of don't know. This would be more akin to like, okay, here's a good way to put it, is like Men in Black means True Detective.
Ooh.
Like we don't...
Going for a creepier, darker tone, I like that a lot.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, exactly, right. Doing something that's less, because if we go the same kind of tone, then it really is just kind of like, just watch the movies. Like, you get it,
Exactly.
I mean, it's not that can't work. I mean, like, I'm still going through Stargate SG-1, and that has, if anything, it's a little bit more levity than, Stargate was the movie, but it is kind of like, hey, did you like Stargate? Well, here's more of your greatest hits that you loved. But yeah, if we go for like a more dark kind of serious tone, and honestly, I think it lends itself to it, because it's, if you think about it, like alien invasion is pretty creepy, like secret alien invasion.
Yeah. If it's clandestine and there's experiments and kidnappings and
It's creepy on both sides, because like, I think, starting, it would make sense to have some world building.
Yes.
And I mean, luckily you do kind of have the movies that, establish that they're, but I like the idea that they're not even, I like the idea that they're even like, higher than the government. Like maybe not even the government really has a good, or maybe only like key members of like the deep state have like tangential connections, but maybe it's more of like some kind of like Illuminati kind of cabal kind of thing. Because you would need it to not be, you would need to be above any kind of like Freedom of Information Act.
Oh, totally.
Some journalists couldn't just be like, hey, legally you have to show me these documents or whatever. Or, you couldn't have like some president being like, hey, I want to see what's going on here, and then like shut the thing down.
Let me tweet it.
Right. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is like, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think these guys need to be, above everything else. They need to be the top elite human unit. And
Well,
so,
also, they need to be able to like they can't have like jurisdiction problems like the CIA does and stuff like that.
right.
You know, they need to be able to be like, hey, look, like this is a global defensive effort, not an American
Yes.
defensive effort, you know. So this is like um interconnected between like multiple countries and stuff, you know. So it's kind of this like third party, you know, weird shadow organization.
And that'll make
Um
it fun because these guys, if they're so high tier above everything, if something's happening that creeps them out, it's going to be like a
yeah.
big deal, you know?
Right, right,
So
right. Yeah.
that makes it fun. If
Well,
these
and
guys
this
are
is
like, they get no resistance from other people because they're just like, there's no access barriers, none of that, you know? So,
well, and there's really good like this gives for great like monster of the week stuff.
yeah.
You know, like you can have kind of a longer season arc of maybe something specific that they're looking for, but in the meantime, there can be, you know, all these little issues and stuff like that. You can also play with how integrated aliens are into the world. I think if we're dropping the comedy angle, it should probably be a lot less integrated than the movies go for.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
Where they have the video screen with all the celebrities who are aliens. And,
right. Or
yeah.
just the fact that you can go to like any corner in New York and there's just some guy, some dog who's like, you know, you can do trade with or something like that. It's like if those kinds of things were popping around that often, then people would most likely, you know, run into them on their own in such a way
Yeah.
that you don't need the Men in Black to, you know, spill the beans.
Agreed.
But then you can still play with that though, that there are like in very small little, you know, like you could have an episode where there's kind of like maybe like an emotional or like psychic vampire or something like that, and he like owns a club, you know. So you could have like raves and things like that, and then have this, you know, person like feasting on, you know, all of these like victims or something, you know. So I'm thinking those like something more subtle, kind of like that, you know, that you
Yeah,
could get away
I
with
like
for
that.
longer. So you have any ideas for the characters or character?
I like going with two agents. That makes it fun because we can have, play between the two of them.
You can also
Um,
do kind of the like Luther thing and have it be like the focus is one guy, but then there is like a team.
okay. Kind of like in Justified also, doing the same
Okay.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Where it's the main character and then he has like two other team members who are marshals with him.
So then you don't have to like have, you know, kind of the equal parts for like the two guys. Which by the way, I'm not saying I'm against that. I'm just thinking of like
Yeah.
different ways to do it, you know, because there's kind of like, you know, the CSI shows
Yeah.
I feel like are a little bit more ensemble. They tend to have like there's one person who's like in charge, you know, like Grissom is kind of like the leader or Horatio is like the leader, but he's not necessarily the guy who they spend the most time on. They spend a pretty even amount of time with everyone. And then there's like the Justified Luther type shows where you have like the main character and then there's a bunch of supporting characters that he gets to go and bounce off of when he finds clues.
Yeah.
You even have like the Hannibal show where there's like the main cop with his backup guys, but then one of the villains is a main character too.
Right.
And then there's which is probably where what's it called? Did I say White Castle? It can't be right.
White Castle, White Collar.
White Collar. I'm thinking Castle and then White Collar. And then was getting delicious
So we're going to
burgers.
build the show around White Castle. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, that's all right. So here we go. All right, starting over. All right, White Castle the show. So I mean, yeah, do any of those types stick out to you more? Like any of them seem better than
I like having one main character because I want to figure out what a person in that organization is struggling with, what their
Right.
demons are, what they're worried about, what their fears are. I think that'd be fun to have one central character and then have supporting characters that are fun and eccentric and interesting,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah, and they get to be that because they don't have to be like brooding and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm with
Exactly.
that. And there could be like weird. Maybe we should play with some kind of like strange connection he maybe has to like alien stuff. This is making me think of like Rust Cohl in like True Detective. You know, it's like he himself is a drug addict.
Right.
Who needs like barbiturates and stuff like that to sleep. So he
What
kind
if
of
our
has
main
like a,
character he got injured on a job once long ago and another alien gave him medical care and now he thinks there's some weird side effects. So he's trying to do research without letting people know he's compromised potentially.
I love that, dude. That's awesome. That's kind of like what do you call it? Reminds me of freaking like District 9.
Yeah, District 9.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
where
could
he
be-
gets the thing and starts transforming.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be that rapid, obviously, but it would be fun if like because we could keep playing with that with the audience, where the audience would keep going back and forth between like no, he's fine. They just healed him. And then it's like, oh, wait a second. Like, he like looks in the mirror and maybe his eyes look black or something. And it's like, oh, okay, no, and
Or
everything's
something's
normal, you know?
something's glowing deep within his eyeball, and he's like,
Hmm.
what is that?
Yeah, and it just keeps,
Yeah.
his veins like start to seam over time. Like, there's points where like just weird. He has like crazy nightmares and things. Like,
His
I think
teeth
that
are
could be
falling
cool.
out in the middle of the night, and he's getting new
Right.
ones in there. Yeah, just all the weird, creepy stuff.
It could be, yeah, that could be really interesting. But he's really good at his job. But if he
Yeah.
were to, well, and that's the thing too, is we could establish that they have like cellars, but not cellars, but like prison cells, and they have like certain aliens like locked up and stuff. And so that's the thing too, where he knows that he's like, if this doesn't go his way, then I mean, you know what? You almost just rewrote the prompt. Like the prompt would basically be like guy who works in Men in Black but has been infected by like aliens,
Yeah.
something, and then like now we have like conflict where it's like he is trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to. He keeps putting people in these cells that he eventually will turn into himself.
Yes.
Potentially he doesn't know, so he's trying to find a cure. And so now you have this interesting thing where like, where do your loyalties lie? Do they lie with the
Yeah.
past, the life that you have and had, or do they lie with the life that you're going to have in the future,
Oh, it's happening again. I really want to write this now. This sounds really good. Yeah, because no, his like ensemble guys are like they kind of trust him because he's kind of like the
Right.
hotshot best agent, but then they start getting suspicious. Like, wait, have you been compromised? And it kind of
Right.
yeah.
And then maybe there's like a Dokes type of character from like what's that show? Dexter.
Dexter. Yeah,
Yeah, you could have like one of the guys in the facility is like, I
yeah.
don't like Johnson.
Something's up.
There's something up
Yeah,
with Johnson. I'm gonna figure
something up
that
with
out.
Johnson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the show. There's something up with Johnson.
Yes, perfect.
All right. I mean, I kind of like
Okay.
that because that makes it where the conflict is readily available. So we don't
Yeah.
have to introduce a lot of kind of the other normal ways that you would go to get conflict of like, oh, there's this
Yeah.
guy and he killed his wife a long time ago and he's trying, it's like this is already kind of built. So I guess it would make sense for us if we wanted to not make our life harder. That maybe would be the pilot is that we start, he's an ace, and then he does get horribly injured, and
Yeah.
then the alien thing ends up like healing him, and then maybe he even like lets it go
Yeah.
because it
Okay.
like he so what if okay,
So
so
I
all
was
right.
thinking our overarching series plot could be that they were investigating these strange alien phenomena that other aliens are also thinking are strange.
Hmm.
So it's both the humans and the other aliens they have kind of this shady, tenuous contact with. They're like, all right, some weird stuff's happening. And then they kind of, over the course of the series, think that, okay, there's a potential invasion coming from something that the aliens don't know about and we don't know about.
I like that a
So they're
lot.
trying to protect that. That's kind of the series arc. So then within that, we can have little mysteries and cases and stuff like that.
Well, what if like this, all right, so this has kind of been done to death, so maybe we don't have to do it exactly like this, but what if it's like there is like good alien being chased by bad aliens, and good alien maybe is coming to like warn us or something like that, and bad aliens are coming like in mass, and it's going to be like maybe it's like a body snatchers problem or something like that, right? I
Oh,
mean,
that's
okay,
cool.
we're getting a little Stargate again, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean. I was just thinking like those are always good aliens because it works for like a Men in Black kind of mysterious thing, right?
Yeah.
But what happens is like while he's tracking down bad aliens in episode one, he maybe even runs into one, has to fight him or whatever, but the thing like mortally injures him, and then the good alien who is there who he saved, comes up and heals him or whatever, but then he's like undergoing this like transformation process very slowly so you can stretch it out over all the seasons. But you could even have like, I mean, if you had the balls, you could be like season 3 he just switches teams, and now
Ooh,
we're doing the rest of the show, with him from the other point of view and having to fight against his homies and stuff like that could be
I
fun.
like that. And I can kind of already see the conversation where he's talking to this alien and goes, "You saved me, but you injected me with this one type of,
Yeah, later on,
organic
right?
compound." And the
Hmm.
alien goes, "Well, it was life or death at that point." And he goes, "But the side effects could be, unforeseen." And they're like, "Yes, it could be. We made a
Yes.
decision." And it's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Oh,
So that could be kind of fun. Okay.
oh,
So yeah, and then it's like, he goes back, maybe they, take him to the hospital or something like that. They try to fix him up, but then like he's fine.
Yeah.
or something like that or whatever, or he just heals way faster than they expect him to. Like it still takes a little while, but he ends up healing like really quickly,
Yeah.
and nothing necessarily like trigger, because generally like medical equipment most of the time only can really track stuff that it's been trained to track. So if you have
Yeah.
something completely foreign, it just doesn't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So if this is like an alien species they've never interacted with before, then there isn't anything that can necessarily like, it won't notice it right away. And especially because it hasn't like really started happening. And so then that gives you time further on. So we are going to want to establish though that something is like off by the end.
Yeah.
And maybe he confides in someone. It would make sense that like he was kind of nervous about telling the whole, especially because I think you want to start him off as like a hard ass, like he's
Yeah.
one of the
He's the
like,
by the book guy.
yeah. And he's like bought
He's
into the
almost the Jack
corporation.
Bauer, He's like,
That's
yeah,
a great way.
if you don't compromise, if you compromise at all, you're going to keep compromising, and then you're sold. He's kind of got that attitude.
I like that a lot. So Jack Bauer works for MIB,
Yes.
and he is very good at his job, and he always gets his man kind of thing, and he puts him in little cages, and he doesn't have any sympathy. Maybe even like someone else expresses like sympathies and kind of worries, and maybe he like, so like maybe act one, right? We established that you start him off with like he's
We
with a
open with a
rookie.
set piece of him taking down dangerous alien fugitive. Just a set piece of
That's
him doing something cool with
exactly
that.
right.
Yeah.
100%. Yep, 100%. And maybe even he's like with the rookie, and the rookie's like the one asking him, and maybe we think the rookie will be like our POV guy, but then the rookie dies right away. Like maybe they
Yeah.
both die, kind of not die, but they're both dying. They couldn't save the rookie, and they save him.
I've got an even better idea. What
Okay.
if they do the mission, the set piece, they capture this alien guy, they almost get injured, and then at the end of it, the rookie goes, or the main character goes to the rookie, like, you hesitated. And he's like, well, I thought that maybe we could save him or something. And he goes, no, you hesitated. You're fired. You're out. And
Right.
then we
Or
just lose that character because he hesitated just a little bit,
I like that. Or he goes and talks to like the boss or whatever and gets him fired kind of thing. I was thinking that too earlier because I was thinking, but what I would like to do with the rookie is I was thinking it'd be kind of cool if like maybe the rookie is like asking about like the morality of what they do, and then he gives him like a real harsh dose of reality of like maybe showing him like files or footage or something like that of like this is what happens when you underestimate blah blah blah.
Okay.
One of like the SCP creepypastas I've seen that was really cool was it was just like it was very simple. It was like there's just this alien who kind of has this like amorphic kind of look, and when you go into the room with him, he turns into like someone that you know already, and he'll just try to like shoot the breeze with you and talk about like baseball and stuff like that, or like what's going on at the Mets game. And if you try to leave, he'll try to leave with you, but then like you tell him like, hey, no, you can't come. He'll like stop or whatever, and it's like so, and that's it, So it's just like you just the not knowing what he wants and what he's really here for, and what but he's obviously trying to manipulate people, which is creepy.
Chills. Okay.
Right, knowing that something's trying to manipulate you and not knowing to what end, I think is pretty creepy. So I was thinking it'd be kind of cool if like we maybe in Act 2, you can like show him. So like you said, it opens with like the big set piece of him like whooping ass and all that stuff, and then maybe he gets introduced to like, hey, here's the rookie, he's coming with you on blah blah blah, and then he like has to show him. Like they do interrogation or something of an alien or whatever, and he asks like, hey, what's the big deal or whatever, and then right then is when he could explain, oh, that thing killed this like playground of children or something, and so it's
Something
like
dark,
something really dark. Like don't let your guard down on these things. It's like even the things that look the scariest ones are the ones that aren't overtly scary.
Yeah. You
because
give them an inch and they will take a mile paved in human blood or something.
Which then he's wrong too, because then we can establish that, there was like just a straight up, it was like, hey, you were going to die. I wanted to help you. You saved me from these other bad aliens. Things aren't as obvious as you think it is. And just because you got burnt a couple of times doesn't mean that every alien, is evil and bad. But he's also operating under that kind of Batman thing with Superman, where it's like, if, the threat is so grave that if there's a 1% chance that they could be our enemy, we have to treat it like they are. Because if we are wrong, then we don't have the defenses, Right. So that's why we're the first line of defense of like getting these things and dealing with them while they're small before they turn into like huge problems. And we have like intergalactic, motherships showing up to Earth, all Independence Day style,
Yeah. That's always the end result. That's the least.
So maybe
tenable.
So what if they go through that? And then they do go to that next mission. And now, so maybe like they have the briefing, and the briefing is what you said in the beginning, where it's like, hey, there's like alien activity going on that even like other aliens and stuff seem to be like stressing about. Maybe they're noticing like lots of illegal, aliens are like leaving the planet, like fleeing. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what's going on? You know what? Now that I think about it, I think that actually happened in the first movie for Men in Black.
Oh yeah, I think there was. Yeah, there
I
was a
think
bunch of
there
aliens
actually
leaving because they were
was.
like, something's happening.
I think that actually was. Like, wait a second, that sounded familiar. The illegal part really threw me for a loop. Um, but maybe,
That could be cool because I figured that these Men in Black in this one too, they have alien contacts who are helping them, who are
well, I think
supporting
so.
them.
Yeah.
And if we make them like a little bit more, you know, downplayed and creepy, that could
Right.
be cool too.
And maybe Jack Bauer's like not into that, but it's just like
Yeah.
orders are orders,
Or he
you
doesn't
know?
trust them, you know, but he's like, it's a
Right.
necessary evil
Like
to work with
the
them.
higher ups are the ones who have like made these liaison relationships work. And maybe he had, oh, maybe that's like one of the Doak's character is like one of the liaison like attaches. And
Oh,
so he doesn't like him. And so the Doak's guy doesn't trust him kind of for this just because he's a jerk, you know?
that
And
makes
it's
sense.
like, he's like, I'm the one doing like they could even have like an intimate conversation at one point where he's telling him like, you know, you think you're out there doing like the important work, you know, basically acting like the sheriff, but I'm the one doing the important work because I'm the one bridging relationships with these, you know, that could go on for thousands of years and we'll get way more resources from like trading than we will from you putting people in small cages and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah,
So that guy has kind of like a chip on his shoulder about Jack Bauer.
yeah, I like that.
And so the higher ups are the ones who want to have those kind of relationships. If he could have it his way, it would just be like scorched earth policy, which makes it so much more, you know, impactful when he ends up starting to turn into an alien and having to be like, it's kind of like a racist guy wakes up one day and he's turning black, you know. It's
Yeah,
like that's kind of what we're working with here.
yeah. He has to confront his own biases and everything like
Right.
that.
It has, and he
Yeah,
has to rethink about it, you know, and like, oh, maybe they're
yeah,
not so bad because I know who I am. And just because I'm an alien won't mean that I'm a piece of crap all of a sudden. So that means that
yeah,
ipso facto, all of them can't just be pieces of crap. And he has to look it hard in the face when that one alien actually does save his life.
yeah.
So I'm
Makes sense.
thinking that they have a briefing where they have to go and like you said, like our positive alien contacts are telling us that there's weird crap going on. Go investigate this warehouse or something, you know.
We should be
So
out in the middle of nowhere in the desert, something creepy going on.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that'd be good. Maybe it was something and it's been like taken over, you know, like they show up and it
Uh,
kind of looks like business as usual. It's like maybe it was like a government facility and then they go in and it's kind of like Independence Day where it's like the, you know,
or all
it's
the
all
people there have turned into
foggy.
mannequin people and they're just moving really slowly, and he's like, "What is happening here?"
Ooh, I
I
love
like it.
that. That's
Yeah,
creepy. I really
yeah.
like that. Yeah. See, oh, that's awesome. I
They're
love
going through their old motions, but they're not responding to us. That could be the
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, there's like maybe that's like how those aliens like get in and get out and like smash and grab stuff is they like put everyone in kind of this weird like trancy state, you know?
Yeah.
That could be pretty cool. Oh, it'd be really cool too if like one of the people is like that, but then they're like being like eaten or something by like one of the aliens and they
Oh
can't
yeah.
like move fast enough to get out of it. So you just see this like horribly pained face that they have, and that'd be
Ooh,
really cool.
I dig it. Okay.
So ooh, that's kind of cool. So they
Yeah.
show up. He's with the rookie, guns blasting, and they obviously were looking for some. Oh, so here it is. That government facility found good guy alien. The bad aliens show up to go get good guy alien. Maybe they want like the technology of healing
Oh.
or something like that, right? So they're messing all the scientists up, and they're looking for the good guy alien. He goes through with the rookie, and they end up smoking, you know, the handful of bad guy aliens that are there.
Yeah.
But he gets mortally wounded
The rookie gets
because
killed.
well no what you said because the rookie what do you call it
Hesitates.
hesitated. He
Oh.
hesitates and then he ends up getting mortally wounded. Maybe the rookie dies or something, or
Yeah.
okay, or
Or
if we want,
quits.
this could be a what do you call it, this could be a thread is that they both get mortally wounded. Good guy alien comes out of hiding, heals both of them. He goes back, tells them that he recommends that the rookie get fired, and then you know the rookie's like, "Hey, what the hell or whatever," and he's like, "You know, you hesitated." He gets fired. That allows for us later in the show. You know, rookie's going through the same shit, you know, but he's
Oh, so he's
out
gonna
back.
come back.
That could be
He's out in the
interesting.
real world. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
that could be,
perfect.
and maybe that's the contact he has to make when he feels like things have gone too far and he can't continue on. You know,
That's a great scene. Him at the bar. I was
right?
wrong when we first talked, you know.
Yeah, and then it pans over.
Yeah.
Who's he talking to? Oh shit, it's the rookie. You
It's
know,
the
like that kind
rookie.
of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that could be pretty cool.
I love it.
I mean, yeah, dude. I don't know. Like, I think what else do you need? You know,
We've got yeah. I
how
mean,
does it
then
end? I
that's what I was
guess
thinking. Third act.
he
I mean, 'cause that
firing the rookie is not a great like third act end.
no.
That's a good like top of third act. You still need a little more.
Well, I think the very last shot is him
Oh,
looking in the mirror,
yep.
going, "I'm
You,
okay," and then there's something glowing in his
duh,
eyeball, and he goes, "What?"
duh. That was exactly it. Yeah, duh.
That's
That's
the
obviously
final
it.
scene.
That's the that's 100% it.
Yeah,
So maybe he's like having nightmares afterward.
yeah. Strange nightmares,
Yeah, because he has
seeing
like,
alien things.
well, maybe it's like what they use is like genetic based or whatever, and so
Okay.
like they do it for themselves. It's no big deal. But now he has like alien DNA in his system, so it
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be anything too like purposeful. It's just kind of like, yeah, we don't really do this on like interspecies. It's like it's
Yeah.
weird. And
Well, that's why he could confront the alien at the end too. After he has that
oh
scene,
yeah,
he could go, "What did you do to me?" And they're like, "Well, they explained that. Well, we healed you. For us, this is very normal, but for you, it could have unforeseen consequences." And he goes, "Like
totally
what?" And they're like, "We don't
unforeseen.
know, but we give you your life back." And he goes, "Oh
It's the
crap!" And then
definition of unforeseen.
so
You
then at
know
the
what I
very
like?
end, he could be looking at a folder saying, like when to turn yourself in if you've been compromised, and he decides to put it away, and it's like dun dun dun.
Actually, what would be kind of fun would be like we could establish that folder too earlier with him, with the rookie or something. Like, hey, here's your stuff, here's your folder, blah blah blah, and he's like looking through it, and he's like incredulous, like when to turn yourself in if you've been compromised, whatever. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
And he's like, it's not a joke. And then at the end, it's like he's dealing with that too. But you know what I would like too, though? I would like that maybe the nightmares he sees like visions and flashes of maybe like their home planet or something like that, like alien stuff that he's not used to. So he just knows something's messed up. That prompts him to go and talk to them. And he goes in and
yeah.
like interrogates them or whatever. And they tell him like, hey, unforeseen, who knows? And then he goes home. And then that's the very last scene is him looking in the mirror. And then there's like physically something going on, and maybe
Yes,
like his
yes.
hand or something, like the veins are all like popped out in black or something. But then it goes away and it's like, am I hallucinating or is this really happening? Like what's happening to my body kind of thing. That could be kind of cool.
See, I'd click watch next episode on
I
that ending.
totally would actually,
Yeah.
right? I've
Let's
even
see where
thinking
this
that too.
goes.
Well, because then I'm thinking like in the future, what could be cool too would be like, what if he uh starts developing like powers?
Yeah.
So you have like a situation. It's like, oh crap, he gets disarmed. Like, oh, what's he gonna do? But then all of a sudden, he like just for a split second is like super strong, or something like that, or
But
gross.
he has to conceal it from the
Well,
Men in Black
you see what I'm
agency
saying,
because they can't
right?
know. So okay.
And then that could be like the Dokes character who's like, hey, what's going on? What was this about? Like, it
How
says
are
in
you
your
so good at your
report.
job? Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
How'd you survive that encounter?
Well, then he gets like really like what do you call it? He gets very secluded and he doesn't want to work with like partners anymore and stuff because like it's like I don't know what I'm going to do in front of people. I don't know what's going to happen potentially in front of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so let's start back over again. Cuz I
This is good. When we first talked about this prompt, I was like,
I was too.
I don't know. I was like, this is gonna be tough.
And in general, I just wasn't having any ideas. I was kind of like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it today. Like maybe we should push it off. But now I'm like, yeah, I want to see this show.
Right?
Okay,
I love it.
so we got like Jack Bauer, ass kicking guy, and we open up with a big set piece where he's over there putting the hands on some, cool looking aliens, right?
Yes.
And then he goes back to headquarters and they let him know that he's getting a rookie. And so we have some of those, and this is also, it's the pilot, right? So
Yeah.
so we get to do those pilot things of establish the world a little bit to the
Yeah.
rookie via our main character.
See
And then
his office, what kind of workplace he's in,
yeah,
what
well,
kind
and
of pressures he's under.
and
Yeah.
they'll have like those driving scenes where they're talking to each other about like, hey, so here's how it goes and here's what you should expect. And that some of the K and J stuff that we had in that movie. He gives him, like one of those driving scenes, he hands him like that pamphlet that has, like really kind of 50s propaganda looking, art and stuff. And, it's like when to turn yourself in if you, get compromised, blah, blah, blah. And here's all and then it has like all these maybe like gruesome like pictures of different ways aliens will kill you. It's like acid and like,
Brain worms.
exactly. It shows like I'm imagining art kind of like a Fallout, like
Yeah.
Fallout 3. And it's got like that boy with a gun, like shooting all of his like
The
coworkers.
head's just cracked open and there's some
Brain worms.
brain worms.
Exactly. I love that.
That's the one
Exactly.
dark humor we throw in there. I love it.
Yeah. Well, and I think you could fit a okay amount. Like True Detective didn't have no humor. Like it actually is a fair amount of points that were pretty funny. Like when they're asking Homie about they're like, so what do you he's talking about, he's like, I've seen all kinds of types of detectives. There's like the brooding ones, there's like the family man ones, there's the, the old one who knows everything guy. Like, what type are you? He's like, oh, I'm just a regular kind of guy with a big ass dick. Like, there's a fair amount of pretty good, funny bits in there. So I think you can work him in. You just want to not, like, True Detective is a drama forward with comedic elements instead of a comedy forward with, drama elements, which is more like Men in Black.
Exactly.
So they kind of work through, and he explains, the ropes and stuff. They go and have a briefing, and they get explained that, there's word in the street from, maybe they get summoned to the briefing by like the Dokes guy.
Okay.
And so they get summoned, by Williams, who is the attaché kind of like liaison between them and some of the other alien species. And there's, obviously a bunch of those guys, but he's one of them. And
Jack Bauer, like some cybernetic stuff that he's gotten from the aliens. And
maybe
our Jack Bauer guy just hates him and is just like, that guy, see that guy shouldn't be running with his show or whatever.
Well, that could be cool, because if he has that, then maybe Jack could even see him as being like a sympathetic person to him, because he's undergoing some kind of transformation, and he sees him using any alien technology, especially like, dermal implants, as being like compromised.
Yeah.
Himself. But maybe that's like a Babel fish for him. Like he can like, that's why he can like speak the language or something like that.
Oh, that makes sense.
But then it could be fun that later when he goes and thinks he can confide in that guy, he can't actually. And that guy is quick to ring the alarm on him.
Wait, do you know someone who's been compromised? Tell me more. And
yeah, you see what I'm saying? He's like,
yeah,
exactly right.
I like that.
And then that's what like leads him into having to go try to talk to the rookie kid later on, is realizing that like, oh, this wasn't the guy. I was wrong. So him and the rookie guy, they they get summoned to the briefing. So maybe that's where he can kind of explain, like, I hate that guy. He, is talking to aliens and stuff like that. And I just, it's hard to, he could be the one who establishes the theme of like, you have to pick a team, and I can't trust anybody who has like a foot in both doors or whatever, so
humanity comes first.
Humanity comes first. And so that's, obviously you have to pick a team is the main theme of the show, of him realizing that, oh crap, I'm stuck between two worlds,
Yes.
And then maybe, of course, I think the show would try to make the answer that you don't, like everyone, there's enough room for everyone is kind of the point,
That's the overarching theme.
That's the lesson he has to learn by the end of the show,
And by the end of it, all the aliens and them have to work together to fight off this invasion of whatever, not necessarily malevolent force, but just a force of nature that is beyond them that they have to repel. It kind of shows that, in strife, we have to unite and work against it. That's
or even if it is a malevolent force, you can have it where there's malevolent forces on the MIB side too. So there's kind of like the home team gets split between the people who realize that war is not the only answer and the people who are just out there for blood. And then the enemy team shows that there's like, no, there's like bad aliens who want to come invade us just like we do to people. But there's also like the cool aliens who healed us and stuff like that. So it's kind of just like, if anything, just showing that nuance is the reality. And this kind of like aliens versus humans is, like that was a very small, stupid, way for him to think.
I love it. I love it.
So they go to their briefing and they get told about this kind of thing. Like, we think that there are weird markers for like, guys setting up maybe beacons or something like that. It's the kind of activity that seems like beckoning for more to come.
Like recon.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Right. So like, we need you to kind of go investigate this, and maybe they show them. No, so maybe that's it. So then they go out, and so they're like, hey, there's a facility over here, and we basically haven't gotten anything back from these guys in, however long. We tried hailing them, and they won't return any messages. Right. So go check it out. So they go and investigate, and that's when we run into like this horrific scene that we were talking about earlier, all the mannequin people. And they're like, and then he realized like, maybe the rookie is like, oh, they're all frozen. And he's like, not frozen, just moving really slow. And you see like the guy's like eye twitch or something as they like slowly move. Because, what? I just realized it's kind of from Dark Fury, but that's fine. Whatever. They don't get to own that. And then, like we said, maybe like that's when we run into the scene where it's like, it's smoky, it's dark, we're using flashlights, and then like we flash over to a man, but then you realize that like on the man's back is like this like, demonic looking alien creature. Yeah. So they open up fire and they start smoking, these aliens, and maybe it's a bit of an action scene of them like messing these aliens up. And so then they call in like, hey, we realized, and so as he's calling in, maybe that's when like one of the things shows up, and the rookie goes and like, puts his gun out or whatever, but then he hesitates, like you said, and then boom, the main guy gets hit. The
Yeah,
rookie
because
does take him out.
the alien could start transforming to look kind of human and mannequin-esque, and put his hand
Oh,
up, and the rookie's like, "Wait a second," and then suddenly the thing just attacks them both.
so you know what? It is Men in Black, so we technically could connect some of these things more if we wanted. I actually my favorite scene in oh, I'm sorry, that's not even Men in Black. I'm thinking Independence Day. That scene in Independence Day where it's Brett Spiner as the
Yeah,
doctor and the alien is actually just puppeteering him and like
yeah,
free me or like release me. Like that is cool because first off that is so creepy.
yeah.
It's one of my favorite lines where they're like can we have peace, and he's like, peace, no peace. Like that's
Yeah,
so sick.
that's awesome.
For such a goofy movie, like that was a really cool part.
Yeah,
So it could be something like that, like maybe the thing's kind of like puppeteering a man or something, which has the other guy hesitate, and so that cost the main, they both end up getting like whooped up, but then maybe like while he's dying, he gets to like the thing like starts hovering over him, and he pulls off like one last shot or whatever and shoots the thing, kills
nice.
it, then wakes up, and the good alien has like or maybe we even see like POV the good alien like kind of crawling out of the rubble or whatever to go and try to fix him up,
Yeah,
and then they just wake up like in the infirmary,
yeah,
and so then they get debriefed on kind of what happened. We found you guys and you were in bad shape, but you've healed up like really fast. Can you tell us what happened in there? And they only have kind of bits and pieces of kind of what it ultimately was. And then Jack Bauer guy goes and talks to like the chief and recommends the removal of the other guy because he hesitated, and he just
yeah.
and then again maybe like in the hallway the guy shows up with his like box of stuff and is like, hey, what the fuck, man? He's like, I saved you. Maybe even that, maybe the rookie's the one who shoots the alien. And so
Oh
then he
yeah,
has this kind of like, hey, what the fuck? I saved your life. And it's like, you hesitated, and I told you already. Like, you have to
I
pick
love
a
it.
side. You can't, So it's
Humanity
not
comes
enough.
first.
Yep. And so what do you call it? My moral code is so unbreakably strong that obviously this is like my weak point. I
Yes.
think it's my strength. It's actually my weakness. And so it's also good because it's kind of to save the cat for the rookie, so that
Yeah.
later when he goes and finds him later, we already know that the rookie is like a good character.
Yes.
The rookie is actually like more evolved, mature emotionally than the main character is, and so when he meets him, it can kind of be like a good, meeting for them. So, so then, he goes home. Maybe he's put on leave for a little while or something like that, until just because it was a crazy thing he went through, and he starts having like those crazy nightmares. And so then he comes back to the facility on unofficial, he has to kind of try to dodge like the bosses and stuff, who'd be asking, hey, what the hell are you doing here? And he goes and like goes to the cells and interrogates. Oh, we missed a scene. Maybe we didn't. No, I think we did. I wanted that scene earlier in Act Two where the rookie is asking him about like they go on it. Okay, so what I said was that they meet. He shows them some of the stuff, and then they have their briefing. In between him having the briefing, I think we need the scene where he is like they go and do an interrogation of like the alien who
Oh
seems
yeah.
like not too evil, and he's kind of starting to question it, and that's where he like really jumps on him and is like, hey, like here's, let me show you that like he went and murdered
Yeah.
like a whole church, or
Yeah.
something like that. It's like where they found him, and you can have like a quick shot of just like this bloody like mess, and it's just like this weird ale.
Consumed the organs of everyone inside.
Exactly right, like
Yeah.
just their livers or something,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. And he's a and maybe like at the time he looked like a nice old lady,
Oh,
like
creepy. I
like
like it.
crawled over someone or what, because he keeps
Yeah.
changing shape.
Just slithering over the bodies. I love that.
That'd be kind of sick, So
Yeah.
he's like, so that's what is at risk if you doubt for a moment, and that could even get the audience like on Jack's side. That
Yeah.
like, okay, we're in a hellscape world where this is how things are, but then realizing later that no, actually that's not the case.
Yeah.
Just because
You can't project that onto every single non-human. Yeah.
well, right, you can't take the Holocaust and project it onto all Germans,
Yeah.
and so it's the same kind of thing, right? So what happens is then, so then back up to where we are, he sneaks back into the facility and starts interrogating, and maybe we don't know exactly what, but most people will probably guess where he's going, and you're kind of going past these different aliens and these different cells, and then he makes it to, this is like our hello Clarice moment kind of where he gets to go and talk to the alien who healed him, and that's where we get that kind of explanation of like, hey, what did you do to me kind of thing, and he's like, oh, unforeseen consequences, but like you were gonna die, we wanted to help.
Yeah.
And
And that one's
so
more in like protective custody in our thing instead of in prison, maybe, or is
Well,
he
I don't know.
the good
Because
alien?
well, what I'm thinking is that like the B team showed up to go like extract those guys because
Right.
there was distress because he calls and then gets messed up,
Yeah.
and so maybe the B team caught the alien, so they don't know that he's like good or not or something. So
Okay.
that's not. I don't either way though.
Yeah.
And I mean, he could even just be like in protective custody because the other guy's like interrogating him or something. Like they're just trying to
Right.
figure stuff out. Yeah, they're not necessarily mad at the alien. Yeah, so that's an option for sure.
That makes sense.
So, and that would maybe be why he had more access anyways, because he's just kind of like in, holding more than he's in like, alien prison. So he's talking to him, and then maybe their conversation gets cut short because it's like, hey, what the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be at home, blah, blah, blah. I got you on
You're on
cameras.
leave.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're over here. You didn't file out the paperwork or whatever to talk to this alien. Like, what the hell are you doing?
I'm seeing like Thomas Jane as our main character or something. The Punisher.
Yes, that's funny.
Yeah.
I am kind of I
Yeah.
could see it for sure. Or poor man's Thomas Jane, that guy from those Purge movies, like the first three Purge or the second
I
and
haven't
third
seen
Purge
those. I
movie.
haven't seen
Oh, they're
those.
terrible. But there's a guy that kind of has a spot. I could that's kind of funny you're saying Thomas Jane. Yeah, I could even imagine the guy from like Punisher, the show.
Oh,
Or,
John Bernthal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
could
could do
kind
that
of
too.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying
Kind
to
of
think.
that ruthless top agent character.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, he also like he did a good job of adding a lot of humanity to the Punisher character, especially later on. So he can kind of play both, which can kind of work. So yeah, if we had to do our dream casting segment, that would kind of be the idea.
John
And
Bernthal's
then
great.
and then after that, he what do you call it? So he gets like kicked out or whatever, and then I think we're at the point now where he goes home and
Has
maybe
the weird
he
dreams.
so maybe he has another weird dream which makes him wake up, but then it feels like he can't get out of the dream. There's like his body's like doing weird stuff, and then he like looks in the mirror and then he sees like his eyes are all weird or whatever, and then cut to credits,
Okay.
and maybe that's it.
That's it. That's a good pilot.
I ain't mad at that pilot. I would want, and like
I'd
you
click
said,
next episode.
when it was like 5 seconds, hey, do you want to see? I'd be like, I think I kind of do.
I do want to see where this goes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Nice.
Well, I mean,
There you
yeah, I
go.
think that's a pilot.
That's a pilot. We got another one.
Yeah, kind of a shorter episode. I mean, unless there's anything else we can fill out that would be worthwhile.
I think that's. I mean, we could sit here and talk another hour about the
Right.
season arc and the,
Yeah.
the series arc and
Or
everything.
we could start writing like dialogue, but after that, I think basically this is
Yeah.
pretty much it. So, I mean, yeah, it would be kind of an expensive one. It'd be a little effects heavy.
It would.
That's something we should start messing with too. What I was thinking about doing is maybe putting like, what do you call them? Like, almost like a Mad Libs kind of program together,
Yeah.
and have like a spin the wheel, and it's kind of like, okay, it has to be this genre. It's got to have these weird, I mean, almost like a 48-hour film festival.
Okay, yeah, where there's like little things you got to hit, you know.
Yeah, it's like you got to have this line, like, ooh, this gravy is tasty,
Yeah.
and you have to have a guide.
As the
named,
aliens eating the brain. Ooh, this gravy is
This
tasty.
gravy is tasty. And then it has to be like this genre, and it has to be that kind of thing.
This budget
and,
range.
and then I was thinking, but like I said, really what I want to do is get it from like people, like viewers. I want to
Yeah.
get people responding in the comments and stuff. And
That's
then
the
the
goal.
and then the other thing was we've talked about before would be like having some kind of like randomizer for like your budget. So you're either making a Game of Thrones type of show, or you're making like a Justified type of show, and there's like very different budgets connected to those, and so
Yeah.
this would be one of the more expensive ones. But also, like, I don't know, it's hard enough without any limitations at all, so maybe
Yeah.
maybe down the road that will matter more.
We'll see.
We'll see. But all right, man, so yeah, you got a title for this thing?
Ooh, that's a good.
Aside
I was
from
about to
our-
say Enemy Within, but that's from XCOM. I can't steal that.
Oh, you're right. XCOM Enemy Within. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so good. Yeah, that is a good one. That is funny. What do we say earlier?
What about
It's like-
Humanity Comes First? It has a title now.
that, you know what? That would be a good episode title.
Yes.
If that was the name of
You're
the
right.
pilot, or
Excellent
episode
pilot,
1,
so.
Humanity Comes First. But yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful. It's kind of like the joke one I did earlier that like, there's something weird with Johnson or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's a and it's also a little too much. Like we have to talk about Kevin.
It could be like something simple like the Force or like the
Yeah, I know what you mean.
the
V.
Bureau. The Bureau.
Yeah, but that's also XCOM.
Oh God, you're right.
I think that's XCOM too, the Bureau.
You're right. I love
What
those
was that?
games.
Well, yeah, they're so great, by the way. What was that one with Matt Damon and Emily Blunt?
Oh, the Bureau, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something with time. I never saw it. I just saw the trailer.
It was all right. It was all
It was
right.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, I want to say it was called the Bureau.
It might have been. It really might have been because it was about. I thought it was called the Something Men, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, it was about basically.
He's in
like,
another movie about like a business or something called the Something Men. I forget what the something
Oh,
is.
maybe that's
but
what's going on. Yeah, maybe it's something like that. Man, why is this so hard? Part of it is because like we don't have a Stargate, so you can't just call it Stargate. Oh, I mean,
Exactly.
I guess you could just call it Men in Black, or you could call it like the SCP Foundation or something, like whatever the company is called. Oh, we
Yeah,
could come up with a cool name for the company and just call it that. It could be
that's
called
what I
like
was.
Black
Yeah,
Mesa kind of thing or something like that.
yeah.
Just
Operation Black Razor or something like that. Something cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
because it's gonna go in the title of the video, so we got to think about.
That's true.
Okay,
I
let's
kind of
say.
like Operation Black Razor.
Okay, I'm mad at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Operation Black Race. So this is the specific operation to the this alien invasion, that's happening thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm into it. Yeah. Or what about something like,
Like Earth Defense.
well, I'm thinking
Initiative or
like
something.
Operation Stopgap or something like that, like we're trying to that's a little pedestrian, but
Operation Failsafe.
yeah, I don't hate failsafe. Because I'm thinking something like we're trying to stop an alien invasion, and if
Yeah.
we're only going to name it after the one operation, then it needs to be like something that kind of tells you what that is.
Ooh, what about Operation Armageddon's End? Maybe or something with
or
Armageddon or something with.
I actually think we should. I think we should be focusing more on the. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna spend more time on the name than anything else.
I know, right?
I think we should focus more on the play with that. The guy is changing or whatever. So I think like the enemy within kind of thing you're going. I think that's actually the rabbit trail that we should be following more.
Okay.
I mean, the opposite enemy within is also enemy without.
Interesting. Okay.
That means foreign enemies basically. Or like something to talk about like schism or something like that. Like the duel, the split.
Oh, let's see.
The Mothman Chronicles.
The Mothman Chronicles. Exactly. What about oh, I'm thinking we could just call it duality, existential duality. No, what am I thinking?
It's making me think it Existends the
Yeah.
movie. All right, this is taking way too long. What do you call it? I mean, we could also just call it Men in Black.
We are canceling the apocalypse.
Oh yeah, that's another one. Idris Elba could have played this guy too, for sure. Yeah,
definitely.
He would just have to bring his exact Luther, thing.
Yes.
And he could totally play this. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Freaking. That's crazy. I can't. And there's so many like CIA shows. Well, there's even like some of them are just called like what? One of them is just called Jack Ryan, right? Just named after the guy.
Tom Clancy one, yeah.
Yeah, it's like so you can go that simple too, because he is
Johnson.
kind of. There's something strange going on with Johnson. This is a long ass title. Yeah, man. Oh, that's killing me. I'm not normally this bad at naming things.
Yeah, Operation Black Mesa. That's pretty cool.
It is, but it's from what do you call it?
It's from a thing.
Yeah, that's from damn it, I forgot what that was called. Half-Life.
We could call it the Obsidian Chronicles. I don't know.
Yeah, or how about just like Obsidian? Like maybe that's
Ooh,
just the
I like
name of the
Obsidian.
company. Yeah,
That sounds awesome.
They just work for Obsidian.
Who
Yeah.
are you with? Obsidian. What's that? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry. And it's not even like the Alphabet Boys because it's not an acronym, or it's a really long acronym.
Oh God.
It's like O is for outer.
Office and bureaucracy of survival initiative.
Maybe it's those acronyms where like instead of it being per letter, it's like these 3 letters is this and these 3 letters is this. You could do something kind of like that, I guess.
You could.
Okay, Obsidian. I'm into it. I like that if you like that.
Yeah, let's go with Obsidian.
Cool.
I dig
All
it.
right. Yeah, you got a name for the main character? His name is John Obsidian. What a coincidence.
What about Jack Lincoln?
I like that. Yeah, Jack Lincoln. All right, I'm into that. Okay, cool. All right.
Pulling it out of my ass.
Well, hey, man, that's another show with starring Jack Lincoln, Idris Elba, and or What was it?
Idris Elba and or Thomas Jane.
Yeah, Thomas Jane. How old is Tom Jane now, though? Is he like, he's got to be
53.
like pushing six? Oh, is he that young still? Okay, that's
53.
fair.
Yeah.
I felt like he was 53 when The Mist came out, so okay, that's fair. If
No,
he's
he
not
was
that
40s
old.
during that because he's in The Expanse now, which is one of my favorite sci-fi shows.
Oh,
And
he's in that. I didn't know that.
he is. He's in the first
Oh,
couple
cool.
seasons, and then now he directs episodes of the show because
Dope.
his character's moved on. Yeah.
No,
So,
that's great. That's cool. All right, awesome. Yeah, no, cool.
very
All
good
right.
show. Highly recommend it. Now that I've shamelessly plugged my favorite show, we can continue on. So,
We can shamelessly plug where to find you at, brother.
yeah, I'm on Twitter, Jay Lindquist. That's LINDQUIST BP. And I'm on IMDb, Josh Lindquist.
All right, awesome. And then, yeah, guys, go ahead and let us know in the comments if you have any ideas for some prompts you want to see us do in the future, and we'll go ahead and get back to you.
Or, are you ready for this? Every season is a new era.
Oh, an
and that's what-
anthology.
Exactly. Thinking like Fargo, right?
Okay.
Where it's all the same basic feeling and the same basic vibe. You can even bring some cast members back and play different